They say a man doesn't truly know himself until the world strips him bare. Until every distraction, every comfort, every illusion of freedom is gone, and all he has left is time, concrete, and the sound of his own breath echoing through a cage made for the most dangerous minds America has ever known. This isn't just a prison. It's a tomb for the living. A place designed not to break bones, but to break souls. This is ADX Florence, the end of the road. What does it take to survive here? To breathe in a world where the air itself feels like a punishment, and the walls don't just trap your body, they swallow your identity whole. Most people will never see this place. Most prisoners, even the worst of the worst, will never taste its silence. But you're stepping inside now. Not as a guard, not as a visitor, but as a man condemned to the harshest prison in America. Imagine the moment the judge's gavel falls. The courtroom buzz fades, and the words "Federal Supermax" strike your chest harder than the sentence itself. You don't cry. Not in front of them. Not in front of the world that already sees you as finished. But when the door of the transport van slams shut, and the restraints bite into your skin, the fear begins to crawl under your ribs like a cold spider. You're not being chained because you might run. You're being chained because they think you could kill without even needing your legs. Hours pass. Miles disappear behind bulletproof glass. And then, in the vast emptiness of the Colorado desert, a fortress rises. Not with tall towers or dramatic gates like in the movies. No shouting guards. No barking dogs. Just concrete, endless concrete, and a silence thick enough to choke on. You have arrived at the one place men pray they never see. A place where sunlight is measured like medicine, and you count days not by clocks, but by the shift of a shadow under a steel door. 5 layers of security swallow you one after another. Biometric scanners, steel gates stacked like jaws ready to bite shut, lasers watching every inch, and cameras so precise they could study your heartbeat through movement alone. Your chains feel heavier here. Not physically, but you feel their weight more. Because now you understand these aren't just restraints. They're a warning. No one escapes this place. Not through concrete. Not through time. Not even through madness. A guard leads you deeper, his boots hitting the floor with that hollow prison echo. Every step feels colder. Every breath feels stolen. Finally, you stand before the door that will swallow years, maybe decades, of your life. The door doesn't creak or groan. It just opens with a quiet hiss. Mechanical. Precise. Like the heartbeat of a machine designed to erase men. Inside, the cell waits. 7 feet by 12. Concrete everything. A toilet you can't break, a sink molded into the wall, a bed that doesn't fold, move, or comfort. This isn't a room. It's a box built inside your own skull. A slot for food. A slot for restraints. A narrow slit for sunlight, if you earn it. You step in, not because you want to, but because there is nowhere else the world will allow you to exist. The door slides shut. You don't turn around to watch it. You don't need to. You feel its weight like a mountain settling into place. And then silence. No voices. No hallway chatter. No screams. Just the low hum of a world that has locked you away like a cursed artifact. Minutes pass. Then hours. Then days begin to smear together like wet ink. You learn quickly that sound becomes precious here. Even the footsteps of a guard on the other side of the wall feel like proof the world hasn't forgotten you exist. But the quiet is the real warden. It speaks without words. It whispers doubts, memories, regrets, and fears. It feeds on you, little by little, like rust eating steel. The first night is the hardest. Not because the bed is hard or the air smells like cold stone, but because the silence forces you to listen to yourself. Every thought you buried, every mistake you made, every face you left behind, they all come in waves, sharper than any guard's baton. This place doesn't punish the body first. It punishes the mind. You tell yourself you're strong. You tell yourself you'll adapt. Humans can survive anything, right? But then day 2 comes. And then day 3. No voices. No sun on your face. No human touch. Just food slid through a slot, like you're feeding something dangerous, not someone alive. Your name becomes a number. Your number becomes a ghost. Your identity begins to erode under the pressure of total isolation. You start pacing, not because you need the exercise, but because motion becomes the only proof that you still exist. 7 steps to the wall. 7 steps back. Your feet become a metronome, ticking away time inside a life already paused. They are always watching you. Every breath, every twitch. Not out of care, but out of absolute control. Even sleep offers no escape. The lights never fully die. There is no real night, just dimness and dread. And the worst part? You don't hear other inmates. Not their laughter, not their rage, not even their madness. This place doesn't let madness scream. It quarantines it, tucks it away into corners until breaking becomes silent too. And yet, somehow, you must survive. You must find a reason to wake up in a place where time doesn't move forward. It circles. A loop without mercy. So you start to count things. Scratches on the wall. Breaths between the footsteps outside your cell. Memories of voices you once heard freely. Then the rumors, the legends whispered in federal courthouses, start to swirl in your head. Men who lost their minds here. Men who forgot their own names. Men who chose to starve rather than feel time swallow them whole. You think of them not with sympathy, but as a warning. You must not become one of them. But how? How do you stay human in a place designed to erase humanity? Footsteps approach. A rare sound, almost a gift. Your heart thumps. For a moment, there's a flicker of connection, even if it's just a guard doing his rounds. Then the food slot opens. A tray slides through. Not a word is spoken. Not a glance is exchanged. The slot closes. The footsteps fade. And the silence grows its roots again. You take a bite, not because you're hungry, but because routine is survival now. One routine, one moment, one breath at a time. But you can't help but wonder, how many men have sat in this same cell, asking the same silent question? How long before even the strongest minds begin to crack? This place is the final stop. A cage built for the darkest names in criminal history. Terrorists, cartel bosses, violent gang leaders. And you, whatever crime brought you here, the system believes you belong among them. You tell yourself you'll endure. You'll fight the silence with memory, with thoughts, with imagination. You tell yourself you won't break. But in here, everyone breaks. Some just take longer than others. And as you lie on that cold mattress, staring at concrete inches from your face, a final truth settles into your bones like ice. You are not here to be punished. You are here to be forgotten. And survival is not guaranteed. Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to try something a little different. A guided reflection. I want you to find a quiet space, get comfortable, and just listen. Let's begin. You sit, adjusting to the strange pressure of quiet that fills every corner of this place. It isn't loud. It isn't violent. Yet, it holds weight, like the air itself has density. The silence here isn't empty. It watches, it listens. It presses gently, testing you. You rest your back against a cool, solid surface. You don't rush to think. You don't try to force a sense of calm. You just breathe, finding your own pace, learning the rhythm of stillness. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Inhale, exhale. A memory surfaces, sunlight on a busy street, voices, movement, life happening all around you without effort. It feels distant, but not gone. It's a reminder of the world beyond these walls, waiting like a city scene across a wide expanse of water. Open your eyes and study the space you're in. Solid surfaces, simple fixtures, everything built to last longer than any one person. But you remind yourself, you are here, not swallowed by the structure. You are occupying it, existing inside it with full awareness. A soft sound reaches your ears, distant, not entirely clear, like a voice carried on the wind. Not a sound of distress, just life. Another person somewhere nearby, shifting, breathing, simply existing. It's strange how grounding that simple thought can be. You aren't entirely alone, even if you can't see anyone else. Now, place your palm flat on the surface beside you. Feel its temperature, its texture. Cool, perhaps a little rough, but real. And in that simple gesture, you discover an unexpected form of control, the power to choose what you notice. To choose where you direct your thoughts, instead of letting them scatter into noise and chaos. Time passes. Not fast, not slow. Just steady. Imagine a small, routine event breaks the quiet for just a moment. Then the stillness settles back in. You move with purpose. You stand, you sit back down. Every action is deliberate. There's a profound peace in routine if you allow it to be there. Structure can become something you lean on, not something that presses against you. The day continues with its quiet, steady rhythm. Stretch your arms, your legs, your back. Slow, measured movements to remind your body that it matters. Feel the pull of each tendon, each joint. This feeling is grounding. It's human. Your thoughts will drift, but don't chase them. Just watch them pass, like leaves floating down a river. Some will land on memories, some on hopes, some on simple observations, like the way light falls through a window and paints faint patterns on the floor. Let them come and let them go. Eventually, you lie down. You are not collapsing. You are choosing to rest. Let your eyes close, not to escape the world, but simply to pause. Rest isn't weakness. Rest is a strategy. Rest is how you maintain clarity for tomorrow and for the day after that. And your last thought before you drift off is simple, steady, and strong. I continue. With that, breathe in, breathe out, and let the day fade gently. The sun touches your face, feeling distant, like a memory you once lived rather than something real. You close your eyes, standing still, letting the warmth brush your skin. It isn't comfort, not really, just a reminder of a world that exists somewhere beyond the concrete and steel. You hold on to that reminder, as gentle as a whisper. Then, you start walking. Not because there's anywhere to go, but because movement means you are still in control of your own body. Step after step, slow and deliberate, you circle the yard. Each footstep is a quiet declaration that you remain present, a rhythm only you can feel, steady and necessary. Across the yard, through layers of fencing and watchful eyes, you spot another figure. You can't see their expression, but their pace tells a story, slow, practiced, patient. Someone who has adapted to the rhythm of this world. Someone reminding themselves that time still moves forward, even in here. Eventually, a buzzer sounds. The hour ends. You turn and walk back inside with calm, measured movement. No rush, no hesitation. Because in this place, every action becomes a ritual. You breathe in one last time, take one more glance at the sky, and step through the door as it closes behind you. Inside, your cell waits. Quiet, unmoving, familiar in a way you never expected a space of steel and stone to become. You sit on the edge of the bed and let the silence settle around you like a heavy blanket. But instead of fighting it, you breathe through it. Slow inhale, slow exhale. Control is your anchor. Time simply continues, and you let your thoughts drift like passing clouds. Memories of streets, voices, simple moments. Not painful, just reflections, like old photographs in your mind. When your body asks for rest, you lie down. It's a choice, not a collapse. You turn onto your side and close your eyes, holding on to a single, simple truth. You are here. You are aware. And you are still yourself. Down the corridor, a soft thump breaks the quiet. A subtle reminder that others are here too, existing in their own quiet battles. You open your eyes. The room hasn't changed, but something inside you feels steadier. You're learning the rhythm of silence, the value of a single breath, the rawest form of patience. You whisper to yourself, a gentle promise. I keep going. You breathe again, deeper this time. Tomorrow will come. And when it does, so will you. Moving through it, one breath, one thought, one step at a time. Morning doesn't arrive with sunlight, but with the quiet hum of systems waking up around you. You open your eyes to the same room, the same shadows. Yet, something feels different. You sit up, take a slow breath, and just listen. Every sound here has a meaning. The buzz of the lights, the echo of a distant door, the steady rhythm of footsteps. It's strange how repetition can become a source of comfort. Your mind finds the patterns, and your heart learns to live by them. You stretch, feeling your muscles release. The cell is small, but this movement, this simple act, is yours. Control isn't always about freedom. Sometimes, it's just deciding how to stand, when to breathe, when to move. A metallic tap signals breakfast. You take the tray. It's not about the food, it's about the consistency. In a world stripped of chaos, consistency is a comfort. As you eat, a faint breeze from the vent carries a hint of something different, cleaner, cooler air. It's a whisper from the outside world, a reminder that something beyond these walls can still reach you. Hours drift by in a gentle rhythm. You learn that silence doesn't have to crush you. It can teach you patience and clarity. Then, the door opens, a signal for yard time. You rise without rushing. There are no words exchanged with the guards. It's an understanding built on routine. Outside, the sky is a pale blue canvas. You breathe in deeply. The air is sharp, clean, unfiltered. You walk slowly, counting your steps. Suddenly, a bird calls out, just once. The sound hangs in the air, a fragile reminder of life beyond the walls. That single note brings more comfort than any word. It's proof the world is still out there, vast and open. The buzzer sounds, signaling the end. You turn back, not defeated, but accepting. The walls close in again, but the memory of the sky, the sound of the bird, that stays with you. Back in your cell, a sliver of sunlight briefly paints a line of gold across the gray floor. It touches your hand for a second, warm, and then it's gone. You whisper to yourself, still here. Not in defiance, but in simple awareness. A quiet act of strength. As artificial day fades into night, you lie down, breathing evenly. You've learned something profound here. Survival isn't just about enduring, it's about being present. It's about claiming each moment instead of letting it slip away. You listen to your own heartbeat, calm and certain. Tomorrow will look the same, but you will meet it differently. Because surviving this place isn't about waiting for the world to change. It's about changing how you live within the stillness. And that truth, that inner freedom, is something no wall can ever contain. In this place, time loses its sharp edges. The days blend together like brushstrokes of the same muted color. But within that sameness, you start to find meaning. Small, quiet things become markers of time. The hum of the lights, the rhythm of footsteps, the way the air feels just before a meal arrives. You start to understand that survival here is built on structure. Routine isn't a cage, it's a lifeline, the thin thread that holds your mind steady when everything else feels frozen. Each morning, you wake before the lights rise. Not because you have to, but because your body has learned the rhythm of this place. You sit still, watching faint shapes appear in the dim light. Every surface is familiar now. The bed, the walls, the faint scrape on the steel near the door. You know them like the lines on your own hand. When the first sound breaks the silence, the click of locks, the start of movement in the corridor, it feels almost like a heartbeat returning. Life stirring inside a system that never truly sleeps. Breakfast arrives. You eat slowly, deliberately. Taste no longer matters. What matters is the act, the motion, the ritual. You count each bite, not for hunger, but for balance. Afterward, you sit cross-legged on your bed and breathe. You've learned that the mind needs its own exercise. You trace invisible shapes on your thigh, squares, circles, lines. It's not madness. It's focus. Something small to control when the rest of the world isn't yours to touch. In time, you begin to see that even here, there are choices. You can choose how to think. You can choose how to remember. You can even choose what silence means to you. For some, it's punishment. For others, it becomes space. The kind of space that forces you to face yourself without distraction. You think of the people who once walked these same corridors. Some broke under the weight of this place. Others learned to float within it, detached, unshaken. You wonder which kind you'll become. Midday arrives with a shift in light. You stand, stretch, move your hands along the cold, smooth wall. It feels alive, holding memories of every breath, every word ever spoken within its reach. A sound cuts through the air, a door opening down the hall. You freeze, listening. It's not your turn, but curiosity moves through you. You never see faces, but footsteps tell stories. Some are heavy, resigned. Others are sharp, restless. You learn to tell them apart. When your own hour comes, you move quietly. Out in the yard, the air feels colder today. The sky looks different too, flatter, quieter, almost blank. You tilt your head back, taking it in. It's strange how even emptiness can look beautiful after long enough without it. You walk in slow circles. Within this narrow space, you've created a kind of world. A mental escape map, built step by step. You think of memories, of faces, but you don't linger. Nostalgia here can cut like glass. Instead, you focus on what's real, your breath, your pulse, the wind. These are truths you can still hold. When the buzzer sounds, you turn back. The guard nods once. Words are rare here. Back inside, time resumes its soft repetition. Sometimes, if you focus long enough, the blank wall starts to move, your mind painting color where none exists. Some call it illusion. You call it imagination, the last frontier they can't lock away. Night arrives quietly. The air cools, the lights dim. You lie still, eyes open, counting the seconds between sounds. It's a small game you play with the silence, one that reminds you time still exists. You think again of that single phrase you whispered before. Still here. It carries new weight tonight. It's no longer just survival. It's identity. It's defiance spoken softly enough to pass through the walls unnoticed. Sleep comes slowly. You wonder if the stars above the desert still shine as bright as you remember. You can't see them, but deep inside, you picture their light cutting through the dark sky. In that vision, you find peace. Not hope, not exactly. Just the peace that comes from knowing you've faced the worst and still managed to breathe through it. Tomorrow will come. It always does. And when it does, you'll rise again. Take that first slow breath and whisper once more into the quiet. Still here. Time continues its quiet march forward. The days don't really announce themselves anymore. They just arrive, settle in, and then drift away again. But somewhere deep inside, a subtle shift begins. What once felt like a punishment is starting to resemble meditation. You've stopped fighting the silence. Instead, you study it. You listen to the air move, to the soft hum of electricity in the walls, to the almost invisible rhythm that lives just underneath the stillness. It's strange, but the longer you're here, the more alive the quiet becomes. You start to realize that solitude can teach you things that noise never could. Your thoughts are clearer now. They no longer crash into each other. They move in slow, patient circles. You begin to see patterns, not in the world outside, but in yourself. Memories from years ago, once buried under constant distraction, come back with startling detail. Conversations, mistakes, laughter, loss. Sometimes they bring comfort, sometimes they sting, but you welcome them all. Memory is your only visitor, and you've learned to greet it without fear. Every morning, you rise before the lights, breathing deeply, as if training for something unseen. What began as a habit has now become discipline. You've come to appreciate the smallest details, the way the air feels cooler just before dawn, the soft mechanical sound when the doors open for breakfast. Each one reminds you that this world, though limited, still moves with precision. As days pass, a quiet calm begins to settle in, one that surprises you. The fear that once lived in your chest has faded into something steadier. It's not quite peace, but it's acceptance. The walls no longer seem to close in on you. Instead, they simply exist, silent witnesses to the changes happening inside you. One afternoon, you catch yourself smiling. Not at anything in particular, just at the fact that your mind is still your own. You realize that this system can take almost everything, but it can't touch that. Your imagination remains free. You've learned something profound about memory here. It's not just about what stays, it's about what you choose to keep alive. Every day, you feed small memories like a fire, a scent, a sound, a color. They flicker, then glow, and they keep you warm when everything else feels cold. During your hour outside, the air feels sharper, colder than usual. You stop your routine walk, look up at the sky, and just stand there, breathing. For that single moment, you feel connected, not to this place, but to the world itself. You exist. You are alive. Back in your cell, you close your eyes, and you can almost hear the outside world in your imagination. You no longer ache for it. You just let it exist. You've reached a point where pain has softened into reflection, and anger has turned into acceptance. And you've learned that acceptance isn't surrender. It's power. As night arrives, you lie on your bed, watching faint light patterns move across the ceiling. You've learned to read time in these tiny variations. You breathe deeply and think about everything this place has taught you. Discipline, patience, awareness. But more than that, it has taught you that silence doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes silence is full of memory, thought, and life itself. As you drift toward sleep, you whisper softly, "Still here." The words carry no fear, no defiance, only certainty. You close your eyes, and for the first time in a long while, you don't see walls. You see open space, endless, quiet, beautiful. And in that space, you finally understand. Survival isn't about waiting for freedom. It's about creating it within yourself. They say silence can drive a person insane. But here, at ADX Florence, silence becomes something else, a mirror. A mirror that shows you everything you've ever done, everything you've ever lost, and everything you can never get back. When the lights go out and the cell sinks into darkness, the only sound left is the faint buzz of electricity and the whisper of your own heartbeat. You start counting seconds, then breaths, then thoughts. And somewhere between midnight and morning, you begin to hear things that aren't there. Some prisoners say they hear footsteps outside their doors, even when no one's on the tier. Others claim they hear voices, sometimes calling their name. But the truth? It's not ghosts in the hallway. It's your mind replaying every sound it remembers, desperate to fill the emptiness. You start to remember people, your mother's voice, the way the wind sounded back home, the smell of rain. But the more you remember, the more it hurts. Because memory is poison in a place like this. It reminds you that the world outside still exists, while you're trapped inside a box that never changes. One inmate, who had been in solitary for over 15 years, said he started talking to the cracks in the wall. He gave them names, personalities, even argued with them. They were my neighbors, he said. They never spoke back, but they listened. In ADX, imagination becomes your best friend and your worst enemy. The mind creates worlds to survive, but sometimes those worlds don't let you go. The guards see it happen all the time. One man starts pacing, another starts muttering. One night, a prisoner screams for hours that someone is in his cell. The officers rush to check, but there's no one there. Just another man losing the last battle he can fight, the battle for his own mind. And yet, some find peace in the madness. They build routines so strict that every second is accounted for. Wake up, push-ups, meditation, reading the same page over and over. Anything to keep the brain from wandering too far. One former inmate said he survived by reciting the same poem every day for 10 years. He said it wasn't about the words, it was about rhythm. The rhythm gave him something the prison couldn't take: control. There's one story that echoes through the corridors. A man who had been there so long, he forgot his own voice. When he finally spoke to a guard after years of silence, his words came out broken, like someone learning to speak again. He asked, "Do you still remember the sky?" The guard didn't answer. What could he say? At ADX, the sky is a rumor. A blue lie you see for 60 minutes a day, if the weather allows. They say every man in ADX Florence dreams of one thing: the sound of a door unlocking. It doesn't matter if it's the door to the yard, the medical unit, or the one that leads home. The sound means movement. It means something has changed. But for most, that sound never comes. Until one day, for a few, the lock finally turns. But walking out of ADX doesn't mean freedom. It means facing a world that has long forgotten you. Imagine stepping outside after 20, 30 years in a box. The first thing that hits you is light. It's too bright, too sharp. The colors are violent. Cars, voices, wind. It's all too much. For someone who's lived in isolation, freedom feels like drowning in sound. There was one man who spent 22 years in ADX. When they told him he was being transferred, he just sat on his bunk, staring at the wall. He was trying to imagine what outside meant. When he finally got out, the strangest part wasn't the noise or the air. It was space. He said, "I didn't know where to look. Everything was too open. I felt like I could fall off the world." In ADX, every movement is limited. When those walls disappear, you feel lost. It took him almost 2 years to learn how to talk to people again. He said that surviving ADX was about control, but surviving freedom was about letting go. There's a cruel irony there. The system built to break people ends up creating people who can't function without it. Yet, a few manage to rebuild. Every small act becomes a victory. Every human connection, a mountain climbed. That same man once said something that stayed with me. ADX didn't take my body. It took my sense of time. Out there, people count days. In here, you count moments. Maybe that's what surviving really means. Not escaping, but refusing to disappear, even when the world locks you away. Because no matter how deep the isolation, how thick the concrete, how heavy the silence, the human spirit still whispers, "I'm still here." And sometimes, that whisper is enough.